Sorry to hear that. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Giradi Radha Giradi Radhe. Jaya Radha Giradi Radha Giradi Radhe. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ke Jai Vishpad Paramahamsa Prabhujakacharya Sotar Sata Shishimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON founder Acharya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ke Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ke Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai Rupa Sanatan, Bhatta Raghunath, Shijiva, Gopala Bhatta Dasa, Raghunath, Sadgo Swami Prabhugan Ke, Prem Sikaho, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar, Shivas, Adigor Bhakta Vrindike, Shri Radha, Krishna, Gopa Gopinath, Shamakun, Radhakun, Gir Govardhan Ke, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ke, Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ke, Jagannath Puri Dham Ke, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ke, Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrindike, Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vacharani Vishesha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're getting to hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 30, Activities of the Prachetas, text number 3. Maitreya Vacha, Prachetaso, Antar, Udadao, Prachetasong Tar, Udadao, Pitur, Adesha, Karinaha, Pitur Adesha, Karina, Japa, Yajnana, Tapasa, Japa Yajnana Tapasa, Paranjanam, Atoshayan, Paranjanam Atoshayan, Maitreya Vacha, Prachetasam Tar Udadhao, Pitur Adesha Karina, Japa Yajnana Tapasa, Paranjanam Atoshayan, Maitreya Vacha, Prachetasam Tar Udadhao, Pitur Adesha Karina, Japa Yajnana Tapasa, Paranjanam Atoshayan. Maitreya Vacha, Maitreya Vacha, Maitreya Vacha, Prachetam Tar Udadao, Desha Karana, Japa Yajnana Tapasa, Paranjana Atoshayan. Maitreya Vacha, Maitreya said, Prachetasaha, the Prachetas, Antaha, within, Udadao, the sea, Pitu, of their father. Adeshakaranaha, the order carriers. Japa Yagena, by chanting mantras. Tapasa, under severe austerities. Param Janam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Atoshayan, satisfied. The great sage Maitreya said, the sons of King Pachinabarhi, known as the Prachetas, underwent severe austerities within the seawater to carry out the order of their father. By chanting and repeating the mantras given by Lord Shiva, they were able to satisfy Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please repeat. The great sage Maitreya said, the sons of King Pachinabarhi, known as the Prachetas, underwent severe austerities within the sea. You're right. Within the seawater to carry out the order of their father. By chanting and repeating the mantras given by Lord Shiva, they were able to satisfy Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. One can offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly, but if one repeats the prayers offered by great devotees, like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, or if one follows in the footsteps of great personalities, one can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead very easily. For instance, we sometimes chant this mantra, Brahma Samhita 529. We can all chant together. Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpa vriksha lakshavatesha surabir abhipalayantam Lakshmi sahasra shatasam brahma sevyamanam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor, who's tending the cows, yielding all desires, in abodes built with spiritual gems, and surrounded by millions of purpose trees. He's always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis, end quote. Because this prayer was offered by Lord Brahma, we follow him by reciting this prayer. That's the easiest way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The pure devotee never attempts to reach the Supreme Lord directly. The most important way to worship the Lord is to go through the disciplic succession of devotees. The prayers offered by Lord Shiva to the Supreme Personality of Godhead were thus repeated by the Prachetas, who were thus very successful in pleasing the Lord. Here the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described as Paranjana. According to Madhvacharya, the living entity is called Paranjana because he's become an inhabitant of this material world. And under the influence of the three modes of material nature, he's forced to live within it. Supreme Personality of Godhead creates this material world, Pura, and he also enters into it. Andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam. The Lord enters within the heart of the living entity and within the atom. Therefore, both the living entity and the Lord are called Paranjana. One Paranjana, the living entity, is subordinate to the Supreme Paranjana. Therefore, the duty of the subordinate Paranjana is to satisfy the Supreme Paranjana. That is devotional service. Lord Rudra, or Lord Shiva, is the original Acharya, the Vaishnava Sampradaya, called the Rudra Sampradaya. Rudra Gitena indicates that under the disciplic succession of Lord Rudra, the Prachetas achieved spiritual success. Could we pray together, please? Om Jnana-timirandasya Gnananjana Salakya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyuta Padikamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shivashakan Vitamscha E Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gourange Radhe Vrindavanishari Vrishabhana Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, following the orders of their father, Prachinabarhi, they went to observe austerities. Human life is meant for austerity, not for sense gratification. They had a duty to perform. So they wanted to purify themselves and their consciousness so they could perform their duties properly in the best way possible. What did his father instruct them to do? Go and do austerities. But the austerities is not really what pleased the Lord. They got the darshan, the favor, the mercy of Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It was their japa yajnana, the chanting of the prayers by Lord Shiva in glorification of Lord Vishnu. They heard from the representative of Krishna in disciplic succession. He's the Acharya of the Rudra Sampradaya. In those prayers of the fourth canto, Rudra Gita is enthused Shuddha Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. They were chanted with such by Lord Shiva, and the Prachetas got to hear them. Such transcendental sound vibration, when entering the ears, can go directly to the heart and the consciousness. And as Srila Prabhupada used in a purport I read the other day, renovate our eternal relationship with the Lord. Rejuvenate, reawaken. And they did this for 10,000 years. That's a nice vrut. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he's famous for chanting over 9 years, 9.5 years, whatever, 9.8 months. 1 billion names of the Mahamantra. Did you know that the beads on which he chanted those names in that vrut were given to him by his father, who had similarly performed the same vrut? These previous acharyas that Srila Prabhupada is making mention of in the purport, and the significance, the importance, the value they have in our devotional service. These are not Kanishta Adhikaris, these are not Madhyama Adhikaris. Most of them will act on the platform of Madhyam Adhikari, but they're Uttama Adhikaris. They are fully in love with Krishna and in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. For example, if we have some spare time, if I were just to stop talking for about 5 minutes, be interesting to see where one's mind would go. These previous Acaryas, if they had a spare moment, you know what they would do? Immediately start chanting. Their mind is attracted to the lotus feet of Radha Girdhari. Just like the Ganges rushes down to the ocean. Queen Kunti prays, can my consciousness become like that? Can my attraction to you, my love for you, be similarly undeviated, unalloyed? So these personalities, do they mean anything to you? Just a question to pose. You don't have to answer, but do you say prayers to them every day? Anybody here say prayers to them every day? We should. You say them all. You say prayers to your Diksha Guru, right? First thing waking up in the morning, right? That's meant to be the process. First thing. You haven't even gotten up. You haven't washed. You're not clean. You're not anything. Immediately, you take your mind to the lotus feet of your Diksha Guru. But Diksha Guru, no matter how exalted he is not an island. He's not a separate entity separated from the disciplic succession. He knows that the mercy and the service and the instructions that he has received is coming directly from the Lord because they've been passed down from the Lord through disciplic succession and through his spiritual master to him. If you want this purport to have meaning in your life, why not? At some point in your morning, pray to your Diksha Guru and then Prabhupada. And then just like every time we do Pushpanjali, chant the prayers to the disciplic succession. We only chant Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj's, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji. Now when we say prayers before beginning Bhagavatam, the prayers that I chant, that we all chant together, we are chanting to the spiritual master and all the previous Acaryas, to the 6 Goswamis, to the Panchatattva, Lord Chaitanya and his eternal associates, and to Radha and Krishna and their eternal associates. This is perfection. We can't directly approach Krishna. It doesn't work that way. Oh, did it just come to my mind? Mirabai. Man, I waited 24 hours for her name to come to mind. Mirabai. She's a famous saint in Vrindavan. There's a beautiful temple of these Radha Krishna deities that she worships. In the summer, they have this like raining fountain arrangement where you come in and it is so cooling and so peaceful. So easy to remember Krishna in Vrindavan. But we don't give her much emphasis or significance. Why? Because she wasn't in disciplic succession. She just happened to be a lover of Krishna, one of those unique devotees. O.B.L. Kapoor wrote a book about so many unique devotees in Vraj. You've read it. And, that's nice. It's mind-blowing. Krishna consciousness does not just fit in a little tiny box the way you and I can understand it. But we can't follow that example. If we were to try to approach God on our own, we wouldn't be getting, now how do I say this appropriately? We would get as much traction as most people do in most of the religions where they worship God Now they approach in Christianity God through Jesus, through the Pope, whatever it may be. They may have Muhammad in Islam, the rabbis in Judaism. Teachers are there. But I know, just speaking for myself, my tiny little experience, is one-on-one with Jesus. And it was definitely like God. But at least there was that concept, in Jesus' name we pray. So I started to say something like directly approaching, but when I said it out loud, actually there is some understanding of a representative. There has to be. I mean, the children of Israel down at the bottom of the mountain waiting for Moses to get word, instruction from God. What was their mentality? They just fell into sense gratification. But Moses is supposed to have had some instruction from God. And he came down and he saw, oh my God, what have you gotten yourselves into? On our own, we got ourselves into this material world, and on our own, we get stuck in it until a Vaishnava reaches out sharing the transcendental message of the Lord. Gives us his shelter by giving us the instructions how to worship the devotees of the Lord. In practice, serving the devotees of the Lord, then we can come to the point of purification and becoming qualified to render service to the Lord. Prabhupada says in the 18th chapter in the purport, and this is the transcendental mystery of devotional service. Although the relationship with the Lord is direct, it's always via a transparent medium of the spiritual master. And those who are sold out servants of their spiritual master, they don't just think of their guru. We're not a personality cult. We think of all our previous acharyas. One time Srila Prabhupada asked Guru Das who his favorite author was. He was a little hesitant to say. Prabhupada pressed him. He said, well, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And Prabhupada said something very softly, muffled. He couldn't hardly be discerned, but it was a self-deprecating and an appreciative statement of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Oh, if I could only write in some way, in some manner, of the quality of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. All the acharyas have this dainya, innate humility, where they realize that without the hand and the mercy of their spiritual master, they would be rotting within this material world for who knows how long. And even with the instructions and service of the spiritual master, they maintain on our own volition or credit, without the mercy of my spiritual master, I'm surely destined to go on for thousands of births. I deserve it. But they pray for the continued service of their spiritual master, association of the devotees and service of the Guru. Prahlad Maharaj had such a prayer to Lord Nrsimhadev, where he said, my dear Lord, this is 7/9/29, O Supreme Personality Godhead, because of my association of material desires one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes following the general populace. But your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? So the Lord was offering him anything he wanted, and all he wanted was to continue serving his spiritual master, because he was the one who had given him the process of devotional service. He was the one who picked him up out of his deserved rotting in the material world. This is the mood of a devotee. And Srila Prabhupada encouraged, read my books. You have to read my books. For us, Srila Prabhupada is the founder of Acharya. We are Prabhupada Anugas. Everyone should aspire for that. And that means understanding what he said, what his mood was behind it, what his intent was. His instructions are not ambiguous. Now, there may be different perspectives or realizations based upon those instructions. That's okay. Unity and diversity, no problem. But they have to be the foundation. And he encouraged us to develop relationship with the previous Acaryas. How? By reading their books. Hearing how they practice devotional service. There are biographies on each and every one of these Acaryas that we have on our altar. You should at some point read them all. Pray that these personalities can be a instrument through which Krishna can bless you. When we go to the samadhis of any of these Acaryas that are all there in Navadvip Dham, we fall down and we say the mantra to our spiritual master, the pranam mantras to our spiritual master, and we identify ourselves to them. Just like in Vedic culture, if you introduce yourself, your proper way was, my name is so-and-so and I'm the son of so-and-so. And in spiritual life, my name is so-and-so and I'm the insignificant disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. You introduce yourself as such. And even though we're so lowly and we're so insignificant, the previous Acaryas, oh, you're serving? You're under the shelter of Bhaktivedanta Swami? Oh. Immediately they're receptive to extending their mercy. This is the personalism of Krishna consciousness. And then the prayers that they pray. No, we should all have prayers, and we should, but anything we wish, anything that we may be going through, the Acaryas have expressed them in prayers. In the Bhagavatam, there are hundreds and hundreds of prayers by all the great devotees and the Acaryas. This whole section here, it's focused on Narada. But Narada is the humble disciple of Lord Brahma. Prabhupada glorifies Lord Brahma. Oh, the recordings of Srila Prabhupada singing the Chintamani prayers, the Brahma Samhita. Heart-melting. Because the purity of Lord Brahma's realizations of Govinda are shining through on these verses. And Srila Prabhupada would relish them. We sing a bhajan, we'll sing the verse once, maybe repeat it twice. Srila Prabhupada could sing a bhajan by one of the previous Acaryas and sing the verse again and again and again and again, just relishing. Letting it sink in deeper and deeper and deeper. I should have had it ready. But, Gauranga bolite habi pulaka sharira, hari hari bolite nayana barbe. When will my eyes be filled with tears when I chant the names of Gauranga? When will my heart melt chanting out Hare Krishna? When? Srila Prabhupada evidently for the longest time, every night, as Maharaj referred to yesterday, would sweep in front of Rupa Goswami's samadhi and in front of his samadhi, Bhajan Kutir, calling out to him, begging, crying, again, and again. It doesn't become hackneyed. It becomes the life of a devotee. When you focus on simply wanting to surrender to Krishna, then it means surrendering to the spiritual master and the previous Acaryas. what is it? Utsahan nisyayat daryat tat tat karma pavartanat sangatyagat satovrite shadbir bhaktir prasidyati. Satovrite, we're meant to follow in the footsteps of the previous Acaryas. And if memory serves me correctly, in the 64 items of devotional service, it's the fourth where you're supposed to follow in the footsteps of the previous Acaryas. This is right up there. Rupa Goswami said following their footsteps is one of the 6 most important things to guaranteeing the achievement of pure devotional service. But if we don't read about them and know who they are, what they did, or hear their teachings, then how do we access them? The divine grace of the Acaryas is in their teachings, the sound vibration they shared with us. The legacy of their devotional service they have left behind to be heard, to be chanted, to be remembered. So purifying. There's another verse by Prahlad Maharaj that I'll read to you. It's so nice. Oh, my Lord Nrsimhadev, by engaging in your transcendental loving service and the association of devotees who are liberated, souls, hamsas, I shall become completely uncontaminated by the association of the 3 modes of material nature and be able to chant the glories of your Lordship who are so dear to me. I shall chant your glories, following exactly in the footsteps of Lord Brahma and his disciplic succession. In this way, I shall undoubtedly be able to cross over the ocean of nescience. This is the secret. We have to be in disciplic succession. All of us are. Now that we're in disciplic succession, we should understand who our family members are. It's not like at the university where they'll have pictures on the wall of the previous deans and scholars and famous alumni of their universities. They're not old mental speculators who Prabhupada again and again and again would say they're not actually scientists. They're not actually philosophers. They're not actually politicians. They're fools. They're the lowest of mankind, whose knowledge has been stolen by illusion. And partake a demoniac mentality. What is that demoniac mentality? They don't surrender to God. They don't surrender to Krishna's devotees. A member of a disciplic succession. What's that verse? There are 4 bona fide sampradayas, and if one doesn't receive one's mantra, and Prabhupada has elaborated on that, if one does not receive one's transcendental teachings from one of the disciplic successions, then that knowledge and mantra is useless. No matter how much you may think you chant it or have acquired of that knowledge. What's that verse? I wish you had the mic so the audience could hear it. Padma Purana, right? No, it's not. Go get the mic. So we're most fortunate, and we're trying to extend the fortune. And it's a cyclical thing. The empowerment to spread is in following the instructions of the spiritual master. And you don't have to really scratch your head, well, what are the instructions of the previous Acaryas? Srila Prabhupada has laid out the practice of sadhana bhakti in exactly the same way it has been practiced and preached by the previous Acaryas on up to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Same thing. Don't come to Bhagavatam, you're missing out on one of the 5 most important aspects of devotional service that can quickly give you Krishna praying. Don't chant attentively. Chanting's all right. Never give it up. It is so potent. But if you don't chant attentively, you're neglecting the opportunity for quickly developing a taste, an attraction for chanting. Service to Vaishnavas. The neophyte thinks, oh, humility means it should be directed towards me. Servant of the servant means people should be serving me. That's the way the twisted false ego thinks when in the lower modes of material nature practicing mixed devotional service. No. When one doesn't appreciate the good qualities of any devotee, not offering them respect because of their desire to serve Krishna, one is missing out. How can Krishna speak through that person to you if you have put them in a category that they're not worthy? They're disqualified in some way. 5 ways. Living in the Dham or absorbed in thoughts of the Dham. And the other, where would be number 5? Worshipping the deity incarnation of the Lord. Doing it the way the Acaryas tell us to do it. Not, how do we always come up with these, let's cut corners. Oh, circumstances are special now. We don't have to follow these aspects of the nectar of devotion. How do we come up with that? They're there to be followed because we don't have the love for the Lord. We don't realize this is Krishna. So we do what the previous Acaryas do. They know how many times to offer incense to the Lord. How many circles? Jayapataka Swami said, I never count circles. I just try to offer with devotion. Please accept this insignificant offering. But since we don't have love, then then offer 4 times, 2 times, 3 times, 7 times. If you do it, that's how you easily please the Lord. It's stated in the purport. Easily. Do we want to make it difficult on ourselves? The mind will tell us, oh, I got the easy path. It's shortcuts. You get disqualified by taking shortcuts. They have those marathons and sometimes they catch people who came out way ahead, you know. Oh, look at that rascal. It's on tape. They took a shortcut. They didn't do the austerity. It wasn't a fair playing field. What idiots. You can fool others. You may even fool yourself. That's a principle of human nature. If you tell yourself a lie long enough, you're going to believe it. That's just the way the mind's hardwired. False ego identifies with my thoughts, my understandings. That's why we need the transcendental sound vibration coming from one who can purely repeat it to destroy. Like an Ashva, like a Brahmastra, destroy, blow up, burn up that strong attachment to this mind, body, and world. Sense gratification, separate from Krishna's service. So anyway, Prabhupada so often quotes this verse by Narottam Das Thakur. Tandera charana sevi bhakti sanivas janame hoy e abhilas. Which means, offer my obeisance, number 7. This is my desire, that birth after birth I may live with those devotees who serve the lotus feet of the 6 Goswamis. So there's songbooks that Bhakta Alex is going to hand out. I just thought maybe we could chant this one song. These songs, these prayers written by the previous Acaryas, the more we sing them, the more we become purified, the more they enter our consciousness and our thoughts. May my only wish be to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from your lotus mouth. That's how we purify the consciousness, replacing the ugliness with the beauty of service to Krishna. So, if you don't mind, you'll know the first few verses, very famous, but the rest of them, it's Nam Sankirtan by Narottam Das Thakur. Hari Haraye Nama Krishna. 87. Then we stop at Sri Rupa Sanatan. We never go into the 6 Goswamis, but the majority of the song is in glorification. At least half of it is in glorification, the 6 Goswamis. And this is the point. We're Rupanugas also. We're not simply Prabhupada-nugas. We're Rupanugas. Lord Chaitanya, he empowered Rupa Goswami with the same transcendental knowledge that he received from Ramananda Roy. He shared it with him, spoke it to him, and he empowered him so that within his heart, any and all decisions that he would make in studying Scripture and trying to glorify the Lord, they would all be right on, spot on, according to the Siddhanta of our disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya. And that's the second prayer we chant. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. When will I receive the causeless mercy of Rupa Goswami? When will my heart become filled with that desire that he is giving to others? Glorification service to Lord Chaitanya. So anyway, let's have a little bhajan here and we'll end the class. Hari Raya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Hari Raya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Girdhari Gopinath Madana Mohan. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Sita. Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita. Sri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha. Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha. HG Gosai Kori Charana Vandan. Jaha hoite Bignanasha Vishtaparan. HG Gosai Jar Muitara Das. Tasabara Padarenu Mora Panchagra. Tadera Charana Saki Bhaktasani Bhan. Tadera Charana Sevi Bhaktasani Bhan. Janame hoye abhilas. Janame hoye abhilas. HG Gosai Jabe Braja Koilabhan. Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Koila Prakash. Ananda Bolo Hari Braja Vrindavan. Shri Guru Vaishnava Padhe Madhyaman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Padma Koriyas. Nam Sankirtan Kohi Narotamoda. Nam Sankirtan Kohi Narotamoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo. O Lord Hari, O Lord Krishna, offer my obeisances to you, who are known as Yadava, Hari, Madhava, and Keshava. O Gopal, Govinda, Ram, Sri Madhusudana, Girdhari, Gopinath, Madan Mohan. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Nityananda. All glories to Sri Advaita Acharya and his consort, Sri Sita Thakurani. All glories to Lord Hari, the spiritual master, the Vaishnavas, Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita. All glories to Sri Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami. I offer my obeisances to the feet of these 6 Goswamis. By offering them my obeisances, all obstacles to devotion are destroyed and all spiritual desires are fulfilled. I'm the servant of that person who's a servant of these 6 Goswamis. The dust of their holy feet is my 5 kinds of foodstuffs. This is my desire, that birth after birth I may live with those devotees who serve the lotus feet of these 6 Goswamis. When these 6 Goswamis lived in Vraj, they revealed and explained the eternal pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Absorbing your mind in meditation upon the divine lotus feet of the spiritual master and the holy Vaishnavas, chant the names of Lord Hari in ecstasy and worship the transcendental realm of Vrindavan. Desiring the lotus feet of Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas, Narottam Das sings the Sankirtan of the holy name. Shri Harinam Ke, Parampara Ke. So, does anybody have any addition or questions? Please do.
Sambradaya Vihinasti Manta Nishpala Mata. That if one is not in the Sampradaya, the disciplic succession, then whatever mantra is chanting is no fruit, is fruitless. Nishpala Mata.
Shooting blanks. Sounds like the holy names. It's not the holy names.
There's this verse on that song we just sang, number 5. I offer my obeisances to the feet of these 6 Goswamis, bound to him that destroys all obstacles, devotional service, and fulfills all spiritual desires. I was thinking about Brigupati Prabhu. Sometimes, what he does, or what I've seen him do before, is he prints out. There's a picture of the 6 Goswamis, and then on the back, there's the Goswam Ashtaka. Is that what it is?
Mm.
And he gives it to book distributors and devotees, any devotees. But specifically, what he told me he does is, in his book distribution, he chants, this Ashtaka to the Goswamis with the idea of this fifth verse, that's being brought up here, that destroys all obstacles to devotional service and fulfills all spiritual desires. So he's read that here, and also he said he's read it in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he said from that he's had some experiences of chanting to the six Goswamis, and book distribution becoming easier, feeling the mercy.
Bhrigupati Prabhu would be a Vaishnav worth listening to.
Yeah.
He's a sadhu.
So
I'll quote a pastime of Srila Prabhupada, and this is the Lord's kindness. I had wanted to share it, but time is cruel. But Srila Prabhupada told Hridayananda Swami that if he would chant every day the Sad Goswami Astakam, that he would get the full mercy of the six Goswamis, and that he himself would become a Goswami. If we want to become a servant of the 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 Lord, this is a secret. Pick it up. Add it to your daily program.
Also, fun fact. My spiritual master, he said that one time Prabhupada, apparently he was quoting this, or he might have been singing it, this, not the one we just sang, but longing for perfection and devotional song, that Gauranga Bolite Habe.
Oh, yeah.
So Prabhupada was singing it or quoting it, and then all of a sudden Prabhupada, he looked at my spiritual master and he said, when you're feeling separation from your spiritual master, you could remember this song. So that was a...
Wow.
Sweet.
I won't denigrate that by simply saying that's a fun fact. That's a transcendental jewel. I've heard Shivaram Swami sing this song more than once. And the intense longing in his calling out this prayer to the Lord is so evident and contagious. That's the potency of pure chanting, and these prayers given to us by the previous Acaryas.
You're referring to the song.
Gauranga Boliti. When will my body shiver, hearing, chanting the names of Gauranga? When will my eyes be filled with tears? Wanting a taste, wanting attachment, wanting purity of service to the names, to the Lord and His devotees. You wanted to say something, Dravida Prabhu?
Well, just one point that comes to mind with this from the fifth verse. I often based in the feet of the six Goswamis, bowing to them destroys all obstacles, devotional service. We should remember that the very song, the six Goswami song, is 8 bowing downs, the last line, Vande Rupa Sanatano. So one can actually sing that song and get into that mood of bowing down and fulfill this verse.
And who was that song written by? Srinivasacharya.
Yeah.
Have all of you Prabhus read the biography of Srinivasacharya? Jeev Jago. Put it on the bucket list. Oh my goodness. All these previous Acharyas. Lord Chaitanya, Sarup Damodar, Ramananda Roy, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, the 6 Goswamis, Jiva Goswami, Srinivas Narottam, Shamananda, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladev Vidyabhushana, Jagannath Das Babaji, Bhakti Vinod, all these personalities. They're your family. Introduce yourself to them. Try to learn about them. That's just hands folded. Make the time. There's time if you want to make it. There's time. What else? Tapas, are you good?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for nice class, Prabhu. I don't see any comments on the YouTube, but we have, I think, how many people right now? 17 people is watching right now.
How many?
17.
Hare Krishna. We've got a steady group of attendees. All glories to the assembled Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Samaveda Gora Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaur Premanandi.